What is going on, everyone? My name's Boyd, and I'm back with some more Age Mythology. The Titans action spawning in at the top of the map in the blue color, playing as Odin. His name is MrBoat. His opponent today in the red color playing as Loki. His name is Swissboy. The map is Painted Desert. This is game number 2. Game number 2 between these two players. Best of 5 for the relegations. Promotions/relegations. Prefer to think of them as relegations rather than promotions, you know. Put the pressure on. And we're seeing Swissboy going for the Loki. We're seeing MrBoat going for the Odin. I'm surprised to not see Swissboy sticking with the Zeus here, considering that MrBoat will probably go Odin here. But the Loki's not so bad. And there is this forward gold mine. Yet again, I want to see a Heimdall rush. It's so good. Why do people not Heimdall rush anymore? The Undermine kills off a protective tower, and you can just push off the gold mine. Look at how exposed this is. Imagine, just put your temple up, just hide it over here, and then he knows it's coming when the temple comes up because Ravens are good. But by that stage, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if your opponent knows you're Heimdall rushing. It's just such a good tactic. But everybody just really, really enjoys the temples. They love the temples with the Hall of Fame's hearse there. They think it's so good. But if we learned anything from that Brickhead versus I've forgotten already, Sun Tzu Odin Loki matchup, Odin's kind of okay against the Loki. He's okay. He does all right. So we'll see what MrBoat's got up his sleeve. And we'll see what Swissboy's got up his sleeve. And the Ulfsark retreating away. Where did he put the spy? Nowhere. In spy. Why? Why you no spy? Saving the spy. I see. Got to keep that one in the palm of your hands for a little bit later. Less obvious which thing gets spied. I like it. Deceptive, Swissboy. Deceptive. Now, where's this Skrailing going? That's the question. He spots all his hunt here. And the temple's going up in his base. I'm so sad. One day someone will do a Heimdall rush. And they'll just win in 6 minutes. And then everyone will be like, oh, you know what, boy? You're totally right. Heimdall really good in this matchup. One day. And then another day, someone will do a Heimdall rush and they'll win in 10 minutes. And they'll be like, you know what? Heimdall's really good in this matchup. I should go Heimdall more often, especially when the gold's this exposed. But not happening, and I'm sad. But that's such his life. Especially when he left this hunt in his base as well. He can drag that in so the Valkyries can't push him off. And he's eating all this hunt outside his base first. It's really smart for a Heimdall rush against the Odin, but we're going to be seeing Forseti, and we're going to be seeing Freya. Temple coming up for MrBoat, and he's short an ox cart. He's sharing this ox cart. He's being cheeky. Does get him a little bit more resource early. Obviously, these villagers do have a little bit of walking time, but such is life. There's the ox cart coming out. A little bit of a delayed classic age here for MrBoat. Slightly late, 340 here. No big problems with it though. And for some reason shorted himself a dwarf here. Should be, this is like the correct amount of villagers, but he should have 4 dwarves. That's not going to matter that much. The gold villager gathers at 0.09 or 0.9 as opposed to the dwarf, which is 1.09. So small advantage there for the dwarf of 0.19 over the gatherer. So life is fine. And there's the Forseti and the ox cart looking very silly sitting over here. That's what happens when you're not a Norseman. And now Hursa starting to spam out for Swissboy. MrBoat, on the other hand, scouting around with his ravens, just checking out where all the hunt is. We see some walls coming down as well. And where to next? Relics? Tusk of the Iron Boar. MrBoat might get baited into going raiding cavalry here. And we've seen Thunderclawed Shaw here, not actually that important in this matchup, though if the Ursa can get a little bit antsy and fight underneath Tower Fire or something like that. We do see the Valkyrie popping out. Going to be looking for something to do here. Longhouse is coming up now for Swissboy, nice and defensive. The Ursa does pick up the Tusk of the Iron Ball here. So you can go raiding cavalry in this matchup. It's dangerous, but if you're feeling like you can defend and you got good hunt, it can work out. You push through walls nice and fast, you raid really well, all those things like that. And with the extra 10% on those raiding cavalry, it can help out quite a bit. But it does look like throwing axemen are already being produced right now for MrBoat, and he's just probably going to go throwing axemen Ursa here. And yet again, another forest fire has been used to delay the oh, he gets a villager pick off. Well, that's on Swissboy. Yet again, another forest fire is being used to delay the Norse villagers from gathering wood for a total of 2 seconds, or however long it takes to walk over to this tree. I just don't get why that's become the meta. There's forests everywhere else. Imagine if there's a wall over here and you can just forest fire this to come in and attack this location. Still no spire from Swissboy. Going to be holding onto it for next game. More throwing axemen coming out. Obviously standard here. Happily eating his giraffe over on this location with some beautiful walls here. And MrBoat, honestly, like, he knows this matchup very, very well. He knows what he needs to do to win, and he's not doing it right now by leaving his base. I was going to say, sit in his base, get a 10-minute heroic age, get a town center, Ragnarok, victory. So we'll see what he gets from this. There's not a lot. There's this hunt here. The Hersa have got Hall of Thanes now. Walls coming up everywhere for Swissboy. Still producing those Hersa himself. We'll be able to snipe a Skraeling here. Doesn't quite get it as this is the Ulfsark. All the Skraeling retreating away, going after the Hersa here. Almost snipes him, but he will get away with 17 HP left. Hammer Troll in the back dealing some damage. Hersa coming in onto this wood villagers here. Going to see what they can do. There's no units. Well, there's a couple of units in the base for MrBoat. But Swissboy will hit this wood line. MrBoat not paying attention just yet, as he is focusing on his army here. The Hersa come in, and the villagers do retreat away. Does lose one, or almost loses two. More possibly three here if he gets lucky enough. Gets two. Not quite three. Does half HP to two of them there. Meanwhile, the straggler unit's just getting sniped here by MrBoat. Should go after these houses, though. Swissboy is throwing down his healing spring. Now we see some raiding cavalry getting built by Swissboy as he realizes he might need those to distract the throwing axemen a little bit. And now the Hersa coming in onto this location here. But he doesn't see it. Imagine if he had spied those food villages. Could have been a crazy thing. Swissboy actually hasn't seen anything over there. And it looks like he's clicked on the other side and the Hersa running straight through the base of MrBoat. Meanwhile, these houses going down. This watchtower going down very, very fast as well. And now the Hersa are out of here. Going to come in. We see medium throwing axemen has come through. And MrBoat just going to completely clean house here on these houses, funnily enough. We'll see if MrBoat or Swissboy can even consider fighting here. Like, he probably wins the fight if he gets a couple of myth unit spawns, especially with the raiding cavalry there to help out. But all of those houses are falling, and if we check out the population, Swissboy needs houses to fight. A really smart play there by MrBoat to pick off those houses. And I think in general, against Norse, or with Loki specifically, you should only put your houses really close to your town center here, nice and protected, as opposed to out here. And then just wall segment your watchtowers instead. The gold mine has expired now for Swissboy. He does have a really nice protective gold mine over here. Got this wall plus this wall over here. So it's hard for him to move on to that one. Meanwhile, MrBoat's still not clicking up. He's like full arm. He's got his armory up. He's at 106 population. Needs a lot more food income to get there. He's eating these gazelle now with 7 villagers on them. Absolutely heaps. Valkyrie sitting in the front here. The troll coming over here. Not going to do too much. Just jockeying back and forth for the time being here. And these Hursa plus the raiding cavalry. How does Swissboy get to the next stage? He's got his armory up. He's got some resources. No, he's got nothing in the bank. He's just going to go full population, it looks like, and then try and advance. These raiding cavalry kind of need medium raiders here to function, and I love that he's built them, but he needs to be doing something with his army right now. He's letting MrBoat get away with murder hunting out here on this rhino. Still hasn't used his spy, and there's the Skadi incoming, which does indicate to Swissboy that he cannot get value out of flaming weapons. Unless he splits up his army like a crazy man. Now the raiding cavalry get pushed back. He's throwing axemen do a lot. I tell you what, if he gets out, what's it called? My brain has left myself. Huntress axe. And these throwing axemen can kind of kill everything very, very fast, very, very easily. And then the rhino doing some work. Swissboy picks off a villager there. Almost picking off a throwing axeman, but will run straight through that gate there. The gate does get taken down here. So moving in. Oh, no. Gate's living with 53 HP, it seems. And Swissboy's making, or Swissboy's making his move in here at this point. Nice juke there from his army. All the throwing axemen hitting one raiding cavalry. No micro just yet from Swissboy. That's the big reason to be using these raiding cavalry here, is to dodge the throwing axemen. There's Skadi coming through, and MrBoat is opting to retreat here, as this is not a winning fight for MrBoat at all. The Frost Giant is here, though, can do a lot of damage. Does retreat back, does decide to turn around and fight for a little bit longer as these raiding cavalry are bumping into each other, but losing even more units right now. Swissboy is getting a huge advantage here. We do see a second town center coming up now for MrBoat. The Frost Giant comes in, freezes that Valkyrie. A second Frost Giant on the way. More units pumping out for MrBoat as this fight is going on. And this is possibly a mistake here for Swissboy. I was going to troll spawn, but the Frost Giants here and all of those Hursa have fallen, as MrBoat has defended this push quite nicely. Second town center just about to come up. And that's going to be scary, because that's a lot of villagers getting pumped out, which is a very difficult Ragnarok to defend against, if that's what MrBoat wants to go for the victory here. And we still don't see a second age just yet for Swissboy. We see more Frost Giants coming out, throwing axemen coming over here onto the longhouse. But what can we do here? As the Loki player, looks like he's going for a town center or something like that. I don't see it for him. He's gone through Bragi. Maybe semi-fast heroic if you're fast enough to get to tier. Could be an option. Now MrBoat moving forward. He's ready to fight with all of these Frost Giants. Bragi is going to be here, but it's not going to matter. And he does pick off one of those throwing axemen. Got to get that troll, though. And these units trying to pull away from this hunt operation that's going on. There's the Bragi. And he's going to turn around and fight this now. Using flaming weapons, going to force out the Frost. But it doesn't even matter. Frost lasts just under the time for the flaming weapons. He's going to lose so many units here during this Frost. You can see each of these projectiles do 1 damage a second, basically. Because these throwing axemen shoot at 1 damage a second, I think. Meanwhile, got the market up, making ox carts. And MrBoat is just loving life here. Swissboy's army is completely decimated. He's got 17 throwing axemen here, but so does MrBoat. Meanwhile, more hunt getting gathered. We do see a market coming up. Obviously, Swissboy wants to get to the mythic age here, but there's so many throwing axemen. So even if he does, the Nidhogg will get completely destroyed. All of these units fall here as these throwing axemen have to retreat away. We see the walls trying to come up now for MrBoat. He does manage to get it up, and I don't think that these units... Oh, they can squeeze through. Well, they'll be all getting sniped here in the end of the day. Still no attempted mythic age just yet for Swissboy. Very low on the resources. There's a bunch of battle boar, though. There's the town center coming up for MrBoat. He's on 3 town centers now. He feels this victory. Just have to play it slow, make no mistakes. And the Frost Giants here can pick off these Battleborn nicely, but with the Hersir, it's not going to be enough. There's 5 Battleborn to 3 Frost Giants so far. 4 Frost Giants, actually. So these Battleborn basically do nothing. The Battleborn will be pushing forward. Try and push off this gold mine. This is the only gold mine behind the center of the map that he has. MrBoat turns around yet again with his Frost Giants. Probably not the best idea. It doesn't really slow down Swissboy that much. Now throwing axemen coming in for MrBoat. The gold villagers going to have to retreat away from the mine. But he does have... Oh, he has this gold mine over here as well. And so does Swissboy in this back corner here. Now the villagers looking around for some more hunt potentially. There is actually gazelle down here, so that's a big win there for Swissboy. Meanwhile, Frost Giants still pushing forward. MrBoat can easily fight this here. Get the Frost Giants onto the battle boars. You have to micro it very well though. He's managing to pick off battle boar, and now when he retreats, he's just leaving these battle boar to die as well. There's a couple of throwing axemen here that could die as well. So nice play by MrBoat. Able to snipe those nicely. And Swissboy falling ever so far behind. And there's the Balder for MrBoat. And I assume when Swissboy sees that, he's just going to insta resign, because there's just not a lot he can do about it. All the dwarves coming over onto this gold mine now. He's got 27 dwarves on gold here. There's the town center going up for Swissboy. The longhouse is going down. I don't even think a Fimbulwinter or a Nidhogg will save Swissboy here, just because the throwing axemen can just get Axe of Muspel, and they just destroy the Nidhogg way too fast because of this many axemen. Now he can take down the market, which can stop the trading as well. I don't know if he's buying food or something, but it kind of feels like it with only this many villagers on food. And 75% Balder. Third town center coming up now for Swissboy. Armory goes down. Houses will be next. Love killing houses. Love killing Loki houses specifically. And the temple goes down. Loses that Thundercloud Shawl as well. Now the Frost Giants can come here, and there's the Balder. Ragnarok comes in, and Swissboy taps out. That Balder was a 260 population, and there was just nothing that Swissboy could do at that point, which is why I was saying that Heimdall would have been a much better option here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least you're not just playing to lose. It's just so hard to get the damage done and then get value out of Bragi. Might even be an idea to go Njord here instead of Bragi, because you're just not going to get anything out of Bragi. Not like maybe you could transition to Ulfsarks at some point, but It's just throwing axemen. So there's no positive for Bragi against Odin here, against Skadi. It just doesn't work. Anyways, if you enjoyed this game, please hit that follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.